Good afternoon, folks. Sam here at Reloved Guitars, and just dragged myself in from an afternoon out in the sun, and going to be doing a couple of guitars right now. One of them, the first one I suppose, is going to be this, and I'm trying to minimise the huffing and puffing in this sound setup. I heard a video I did the other day and it sounded kind of so trying to be quieter, and I suppose having the thing pointed a bit further out or something, I don't know. I was hoping that would just avoid picking up so much panting and gasping and so on. Anyway, so here we have, I can't breathe without breathing. Why did I want to go back to this? Oh, I know, because I didn't want the tool noise in those microphones. If this doesn't work out, and if it does sound awful, then I will go back to, so I'll point it quite a way away. I'll go back to the original one and just have to live with the tool noise. Anyway, this is Malcolm's Hagstrom Deuce, and it's a lovely guitar. It's a set neck twin humbucker, and it's got a little F hole here, which supposedly makes it a fraction more acoustic than not having it, but it is overall a lovely guitar, beautiful looking, and it's got it's got a real sort of menacing kind of beauty to it. And Malcolm's already sanded down the back here, taking it down to, I think it's for 200 or 400 grit, something like that. 400 grit, it looks like, to take off the stickiness of it, so it's a much more silky feel. And this is a 15-inch radius, and it has the Hagstrom special substance. It's not a wood fingerboard, it's a special compound which makes a really smooth, dark, oh, strange cat, a really dark playing surface. Looks like ebony, but it's kind of made from a compound. Anyway, having had an initial play of this guitar, I have to say this one is almost perfect condition or playing setup order. So I can't imagine I can improve this one too much, which is quite nice to say because it's a rarity. But I'm going to do the usual thing, which is to level the frets and make it as good as it can be. But having said that, I am not sure there's an awful lot of improvement, noticeable improvement I'll be able to make. Now we have here, wow, yikes. I mean, that's just an incredible action. That's 1 millimeter on the bass side. Blimey, 0.75. That is. I'm going to make a record of this. 1 millimeter on the bass strings. And 0.75 millimeters on the treble side. And this is the Deuce, D-E-U-C-E. And that really is astonishingly low. But it all plays. There's nothing choking. I don't think anything chokes off. I mean, you get a slightly zizzy thing, which you're going to get at 0.75 of a millimeter. Anyway, we're going to put 10s on it, which it already has. And just looking at it here, it has hardly any relief, tiny bit of relief. on both sides. Not tons though, but enough to play, and it might benefit from a little tiny bit more, but that's about it. And then over the nut here we've got, over the first fret we've got a low action 2, which again is quite nice to come across. I would suspect that's around about 0.3, something like that, maybe a bit more. And it's been a lovely day down here in Devon. This is my about 0.4 then, so it could come down an absolutely hair's breadth, which will do, but very, very small amount. Okay, so we're just gonna pile in, get the strings off. Lovely day down here. I've got this week off. I have a wedding at the end of the week, and the rest of it has been a mixture of guitar things and catching up on some sleep and relaxing a bit. And actually the weather's been slightly better than predicted, which is kind of rare. So I've been really grateful for a bit of hammock time. Because really doing two jobs, eventually it catches up on you. And that's where I sort of got to just recently. Now I'm taking a bit of time to straighten out these strings because they're fairly good condition, and that means that they can be used not to play, but I can use them again for setting up a guitar. So they're good for putting a neck under tension, and also for cutting the nut slots, so they don't have to use the actual strings for that. So the Hagstroms have this really nice, we've got a couple of nice characteristics down here. There's lots of nice things about Hagstroms actually, I'm finding, but down here they've got this really nice, I don't know, it's just a sort of protectory thing. Don't really know if it has any function other than it makes the anchor points, it sort of hides the anchor points of the strings, and it gives a really classy look to the end of the guitar, but I'm not really sure it has a hugely important function. But those fixing blocks would look a little bit odd if they were just sort of sitting there undisguised loose, because they are quite particular. Each one has a square of its own freestanding. I think part of that is to separate out or keep the strings separate from each other, so that they're I'm making this bit up, I'm guessing this, but making sure that their resonance, or whatever the sound that string's making, does not bleed. One string doesn't bleed into the other. I'm guessing at that. I've seen people do that with certain kinds of nut as well, and also bridge single bridge saddle parts for acoustics. You can get them where they've been kind of cut down vertically to try and isolate as much as possible each string from the next. So in a way, this Hagstrom arrangement might be a kind of version of that. Wouldn't surprise me if it was. I guess that's what I'm saying. Right. So I'm with Malcolm on this. The Hagstrom is a hell of a lot of guitar for your money, and I know that Malcolm got this one for, I think it was around about just about £200, and it is, I have to say, it's probably more than £200 worth of guitar, but you can get great second-hand bargains. I'm not sure why. I guess it's a less known name, I suppose, for the beginner guitarist. You know, that everybody kind of fixates on the big names or the familiar names, and maybe for the younger, newer guitarist, Hagstrom isn't so well known, but it's certainly getting more and more that way amongst older guitarists who get to know where the bargains are. I think this is Morris. Hey, Morris. Now, you might only just recognise Morris because of his tail, but the rest of him seems to have lost his fabulous mane for the summer. He's stripped down a bit, this boy. He's quite scrawny under all of that. He's lost all of his fuzzy chops, haven't you? Eh? But even then, he's struggling a bit to keep cool at the moment. In fact, we had somebody, Martin came round yesterday. Yes, sir. You want some attention? Martin came round to pick up his US custom built double cut guitar. I don't really have a name for it. Benford, I think it was. And he showed us some pictures of his cats, and they were part Maine Coon. Oh, you boy! Part Maine Coon, like Charlie in Pittsburgh's going to get, and they certainly were good-looking animals, and I would be really tempted, if we were ever, of course, to replace Morris, which we hope never have to, or at least not for a long time. Sorry about this drawn-out de-stringing process. It's just I'm being a bit particular about getting this so I can use it again for the nut slot cutting part of the process. So the Maine Coons are fabulous looking animals. They're great big chunky proper cats. That's what I liked about them. So thank you Tommy for introducing me to that, and thank you Martin for showing me your variants. And Morris, I'm sure you've got a bit of Maine Coon in you somewhere. If you'd have seen Morris's dad, you'd be surprised that Morris came out as good looking as he did. His dad is a real tramp in every sense of the word. He is the local hobo, and he looks it. Poor fella. He's you just sit there and clean all your bits and pieces, why don't you? Yeah, his dad's just very, very worn out old fella, and he's so, I think he stopped being owned by anybody quite a long time ago, and as a result I'll be with you in a second, Morris. I'm just trying to untangle this. As a result, his dad is a bit had it. His coat is all matted and red, and if you've seen black cats that get so dirty and old, mangy, that the black turns red with old age and dirt. Okay, this one is going to be difficult. The thinnest string of all is always difficult to bend out, and I might just cut my losses on this one. As long as I've got enough to string it with when the time comes to put it back on, I'll just lose this bit. Okay, these off and out the way, Morris. That means you. No. I have to watch him as well because I don't want him knocking anything over. So off comes the Tune-o-matic bridge, really nice and clean, good condition. Off comes the bridge post. The bridge is also nice on these because it's a long travel bridge, which lets you do the intonation properly. No, look, you're going to have to go somewhere else right now because I don't need you on Malcolm's guitar. Come on. Down here, you know where to go. That's it. I was going to come round and back again. Okay, so I put the parts in a container over there. So really, I'm just going to nip outside and get a load of a load of cloths which I have. Oh, sorry, that's the mummy cat getting nasty. I've got a load of cloths out here which I laundered last night so that they haven't got any stuff on them and I can use them for polishing. Sort of weird to leave the room and still be wired up. It's a bit like a scene from Police Squad. So yeah, I had to wash these out. I put them through the laundry once before, but when you use them for polishing creams and scratch removers, cream really gets embedded in them, and an ordinary wash won't get it out. So I had to do these by hand. But it's cool because it's nice to have a fresh, clean set of things to work with for once. I mean, they don't look fantastically clean, but they are. Right, be with you any second now. A couple of tea towels sneaked in there the missus doesn't know about. Oops. Can't get enough, never can get enough cloths. I love them. More, please, more cloths. A towel I bought specially for the guitar cleaning purposes. Right, and an old towel from somewhere else that I pressed into service. Right, let's have a green one. Okay, so like I said, this is all looking very good. So a bit of dust removing, but not a lot else required here. Might give it a quick scratch remover polish later on. There's a couple of little pick scratches on there, but again it's minor. So minor. Headstock is always dusty. It's one of the things that you just have to live with. But yes, it's got a real nice chunkiness about it, this guitar, and it certainly is not a light guitar. You know you're wearing it. But as I say, having played it, it impressed me. Very reassuring performer, not me, the guitar. Such that Malcolm's had it about a week or two, less than that, and he's already, well, I was just making up the set list for our first gig down in Cornwall, and Malcolm's, well, I was trying to split the balance of the gig, or the layout of the set, to kind of accommodate his and my guitar changes. Because I think of the band, we're the ones that change equipment most during the set. So I built the set list around his and my guitars, and thankfully Malcolm's pretty much every song, just about every other song is going to be this guitar. So, and that's as soon as owning it, which is a pretty good affirmation of how good it is. So this stuff is very sensitive to pressure as well, so we've got to mask it off for the sake of keeping it safe generally, but also have to be really careful when working on the frets not to go over the fingerboard at all. Whereas on wood, the fingerboard you can sort of get away with scraping a tool across there. On this stuff, it's so mirror smooth that you will get marks if you do. So it's just, I mean, could recommend putting even more layers of tape on, but it would take us quite a lot longer to do that. Just need to know, keep away away from it. Now, I'm not cleaning it with anything just yet. I haven't got any oil, so I'm going to avoid a thorough clean of this. It's pretty good. Malcolm's either cleaned it already or it's being cleaned. But cleaning with a solvent or even with water tends to dry the board out a bit. So if you're going to do any cleaning, it's always good to have some oil lying around for the purpose of just visually livening up the fingerboard afterwards. And I don't. I'm out. So I've got to be. Got to think of ordering some in short order. Okay, so I'm just going to do my usual setting up tape, ready for cutting thinner, different strips of different thickness, which is what I need to accurately cover all of that fretboard. And again, it's one of those fiddly, time-consuming things, which I know Malcolm, if he looks at this, will have seen rather too many times already. But if you were new to this, then I'll give you an idea of what it takes and just one way of doing it. Having started with tape at full width until I can't fit any more on, then I go to four lengths of tape, and this is about 2 feet long, and these 4 lengths at 2 feet long cut into a combination of 2 of the pieces cut into 3 and 2 cut in half. That gives me all the pieces I need to safely mask off someone's guitar. The only thing being, if you get a 24 fret guitar, you possibly have to cut some even thinner. So it might even be one of them could be in a quarters or something, but anyway. So I just use a ruler. It takes a while to do this, but it pays off in the fact that you can accurately mask off your fingerboard so no harm comes to it. So it's quite interesting for me to work on something like this Hagstrom, because I'd be interested to see if there are any flaws at all in it. Not that I'm really anticipating any, because in fact I think it's the lowest action I've seen in the Reloved workshop, so it's certainly the lowest action that's ever come in. And I've done a couple of guitars at 1mm on the bass side, but not too many, because partly because they don't necessarily play the best that way, and also because a lot of people don't want it that low, and you kind of got to think about who you're serving at that point. If you're just aiming for as low as it can go, you run the risk of sending the thing off and somebody gets it at the other end and actually it doesn't like it that low, and then you've got an unhappy customer. So it's better to take a reasonable median, and 1.5 to 2mm on the bass side at the top end of the guitar is a pretty nice playing action, but it's also reasonably, well, you're not running too great a risk of somebody hating it. That was a terrible not straight cut. Suffering from blunt blades here at the moment, so that'll do for now. Okay, so bring the guitar back up and off I go with all the bits. In fact, should have done this before. Giving myself a sharp point to work with. Okay, so on we go, covering it up. So where it almost only just covers up, I add a bit of extra there to the join to make sure it's going to stay joined. And this, as with all guitars, if you're working on the frets or doing the polishing or whatever it is, and you notice the masking tape come off, then you have to have the discipline to stop whatever you're doing, and even if you have to go and cut some more strips, go and stop and do that. It's a discipline. You can't just keep going on, because you will do damage to the fingerboard, and that's a pretty much unforgivable customer no-no. Nobody's going to want to get back a fingerboard with scuffs and scratches on it that they didn't have before. So tonight I'm going to also try and do the Lag Arcane, which I bought a couple of months ago and played for a few sessions, and I really liked it. I mean, still do. It's a fantastic guitar, but I couldn't really justify keeping it given the number of other guitars I'm using at the moment. So given that, I have to sell it, and then in order to sell it I really have to do the fret leveling, even though it played pretty well without doing anything to it. I changed the strings and temporarily set the action to a nice level, but I'm gonna sacrifice the strings, which aren't that old, and I'm going to do a fret level on it to make it spot on, and then it's going to get listed. Hopefully we'll do some nice photography in the sun in the next couple of days. But it was a surprisingly good guitar for not a lot of money, and confirms what I've always felt about the Lag guitars, that they are really superb. I had a couple. I had a Jet 100, which makes the pun on the name Jet Lag. But that was a nice guitar, very, very precise playing guitar. Held its tuning perfectly well, and I thought it was a really interesting looking one as well. And then I've for quite some time played the guitar at the office at work, in the office at work, which is a Lag Summer or Seasons, I think it is, acoustic. I was surprised how good that was. So the Arcane is superb for the money. A lot of rock guitar, and it has two humbuckers and a single coil in there, or is it one? What's it got? One humbucker, two singles, which gives you quite a nice range of tones to play with. Morris has just come back in from the beautiful sunny outside world. He's going to make his way up here, of course. Hello, sir. You want to sit there and get comfy, or you're going to try and get some attention? Yes. No. Yes, come on then, let's get this finished. He's purring away like happy fella. I wondered if he was just going to be a friend during the winter months, whether come the summer he'd lose interest in being in the shed, but he still likes being here, and he quite often find him just sitting on the stool. Likes company. Okay. Yeah. What, a dead thing?
Still alive.
Oh.
Put the shoes on. Put it somewhere.
How's it doing? Fresh from the garden.
It was just wiggling. It was trying to get under your shoes.
Oh, okay. Let's just put it in here for a minute and let it recover. Slow rescued from the cats. Yeah, it's not too bad.
He's very short, isn't he? He's lost a lot of tail.
Yeah, he's lost quite a bit of his tail.
Yeah. Oh. They're neither slow nor worms.
That's right. They're a legless lizard. I learned that when I was a kid and we used to keep them.
I've never seen them until I came down to Devon. Never even knew they existed. Oh, look, it's pretty.
You'll be alright.
Hello.
He's a bit healthier than the blue tit this morning.
I know. Oh, can you hear him moving?
No.
He's scraping on the bottom.
It's not exactly his natural environment, is it?
No.
I will take him out now. Any minute.
Look at that. Look at the way he's...
I know. I know.
The way the muscles move. It's so clever. Look at that. Yes.
You wouldn't be saying that if it was a rattlesnake.
It just seems cold. Taste. No, I doubt it tastes very nice in there. I don't actually mind snakes. We had a friend who had some. We had to look after them.
If I was clever, I'd take this whole arrangement out and film the release of a slow one. So I can carry all this gubbins. There's so many things plugged in
Why
over here.
would you? Why?
Well, because it's more interesting than watching me putting masking tape on a guitar. Oh.
There's quite a few audience out here.
Oh yeah. Well, this thing's going to get cold. It needs sunlight, so I'm going to put it up in the hedgy thing. No, there's nowhere left anymore.
What's that?
Yeah.
There's a bag.
Oh, no, you can't.
Yummy! Yummy!
No, you can't have that. Right, quick, while the cat's distracted, let's put this slow back somewhere. It will stand a chance. On you go. Gone. Yep. It went down inside the rocks. Look how pretty that is. Bluebells.
Oh.
Oops. This camera doesn't really stay in place. Oh look, bass guitar. I better go inside actually. Right. Yeah, they're all hunting, aren't they? There you go, a little trip into the outside world for you. Okay, we have masked off neck. Pick up this blade without chopping my fingers off. Okay, so I'm going to take off the truss rod cover. Yeah, the cats, that's the only downside of having lots of cats, is their natural inclination is to kill as much as they can. And my inclination is to save as much as I can from them. But this morning I wasn't able to be successful with the blue tit. It was gone before I could get to it. Oh wow. That truss rod is miles inside of there. I am hoping I can reach it. Right. So to do this job I want a straight neck. That's pretty straight down the treble side, and that's not bad down the bass side as well, a tiny bit convex, so I do want to get an Allen key on it. So I've got to try and work out which one of those are imperial. It's a long way. Let's have a look at, try some metric ones. For 4.5 is out. I think that's 4.5. Yep. Oh, blimey. This is interesting. This is a 9/64. I'm just trying to see if anything fits this. Nope, too big. 9/64 is too big. 1/8. Let's try that and see if that goes in. Nope. In which case, if that's too big, then that's going to be too big. Let's try 3 mils. Mils goes in. It looks like it should be way out, but okay, 3 mils. Got a long 3 mils one here. Which has given me no movement whatsoever. I don't suppose I'll ever reach it with this angle. No, it's way too far away. Unless I knock the nut off, which I don't wish to do. Okay, so here's an interesting one, Malcolm. We've got a truss rod that I can't turn immediately. So it leaves me slightly nervous about why. And I can give myself a tool for doing it. So if I wanted to take a bit of that concavity out, I would go anti-clockwise with this. If I can get a purchase, as they say. Let's get that in first. Okay, anti-clockwise. No movement. Weird. Okay. A lot of glue sticking out there. Just get rid of that. I'm going to do something now. It's going to make a noise. Let me just find something. It's probably making a horrible noise right now. Just going to look for Hagstrom Deuce F. D-E-U, get it right. D-U-C-E-F. Truss Rod. H expander. Yeah, ultra stiff truss rod system. It has an ultra stiff truss rod system that enables it to fit slim profile necks that don't compromise tuning stability. Yeah. Right, doesn't say any more about the Hagstrom truss rod there. Yada yada yada. Acclaimed, everyone's using the same language, so everyone's copied and pasted, typical thing. Tension at both ends. Okay. Show some people next to thin, yeah. Read it there. Looks like you can you adjust it at both ends? Come along. Yeah, all that stuff. Legendary, yada yada yada. Graph Tech nuts. The basics, it says. Well, I'm going to have to put a hold on this because I've got to look a bit further. Hold on. Right, but a bit of quick research shows that this device, this guitar, has another adjustment point at the far end that should allow me to balance up the two, or balance up the truss rod and where its screws or grub screws are fitted. Obviously this one's buried too deep into the body, so I'm just going to have a quick look and see if that is the case, and see if I can balance it up so that I get back the screw at this end, make adjusting easier, because at the moment it's buried out of sight. So interesting new challenges. I guess it's all part of Hagstrom's patented H truss rod thing. So just a quick look. Oh, blimey. This is very tightly fixed. Right, there is a tiny little place for adjusting. I'm just going to put some tape on here because I want to protect this. Not a lot of room for moving things around, unfortunately. protecting fingerboard finish. I'll tip that out of the way barely. So down inside there I can see the grub screw for adjusting the truss rod. I mean, I wonder if it works both ends or if it just works one end and that will do it, or if I have to do it both ends, I don't know, but there it is. It does have some movement now. So I guess I'm going to present problems when it comes to restringing and everything, because I can't get to it once this is back in place. So I have to try to begin with to get it as flat as I can possibly get it, and hoping that the 10 strings will pull the right amount of relief into it. But I have to say that's a bit of a forlorn hope. What's that? That's a piece of goo. So in the blog I just read, the person talked about undoing what they call the grub screw at this end and rebalancing it with the one at the other end. But I'm not sure I can do that, or even quite sure I know what he meant by that. Well, the point here is that it would be, if I slack this way off, the question is, would I be able to pull the other end out a bit? I guess that's what we're trying to find out. So that's put it under, or slackened it way off. I can't. The problem that I've got here is I can't actually see it because it's black and it's set inside a whole bunch of black painted finishing. So we've got, blimey, still buried down in here. So we've got slackened off at that end, and now I can move it at this end. So I'm trying to just pull it. I want to bring it out at this end, which of course I can't do just simply. I really want to just get it so I can see the grub screw and be able to do sensible adjustments at this end. But as I said, everything's done in the bloody darkness. But I think I'm getting the grub screw arriving or coming out a bit at this end, which then I'll tighten up the other end, and hopefully that will leave us, yeah, with a bit of luck, that will give us okay. Tightening up this end. Okay. I'm going to put the pickup back in at this point. So first of all, so it's not knocking about, and secondly, so that I can just there you go. So that A, it's not knocking about, and B, I can then adjust the other end, or hopefully we'll adjust the other end and it will work as planned. I'll just get rid of this bit of paper so it doesn't get stuck under said pickup. Well, that was a little detour for us. Didn't expect to go on. And hopefully we'll have a much easier time adjusting it from the neck end. that's the plan. I'm also now just going to check that the pickup screws raise and lower this pickup the way it's supposed to. Yep, that's good. More in order. Put the last one in, and then I'll just hopefully just cover it up, and we'll be back on track. Right. A bit mucky, but it'll do. Okay, don't worry about the paper. The way it sticks up, that's fine for now. It's just keeping things out of the way. Okay, so we'll go back to checking. So with all of that relief taken off, it's now well, it's in a slight curve now, which is fine. So now I want to dial that out. So I'm going to go back clockwise a bit. And with some luck, can we even reach at this end? Yes, now we can get it on this angle. Hurrah! That's what we wanted. Couldn't do that before. A little bit of tightening up. Almost there. Almost there. Very close, in fact. Tiny bit more of in the clockwise direction. And we'll be ready to go. For Malcolm's edification, we'll do a fret level check as well. Right, that is just about spot on just tiny widget more adjustment. Yeah, so we'll just do a check to see which frets are uneven, just for information purposes. And this is not playing games, no, playing ball. Okay, that's good. So I'm leaving this. What am I doing? Do I want to put it on the neck rest? Neck rest. Interestingly, the neck rest bends it, of course. Changes the profile slightly, and I guess we'd have to set for that. That's pretty good. Yeah, that'll do. Sorry, bash, crash. Okay, so checking and marking now. Fret leveling. Fret rocker and my pencil for marking things. So here we go. Well, straight away. Uneven across the board. tiny amount there. No surprise, even with the best made guitars, we've always found uneven frets. I'm noticing some chips and scratches on these frets as well, so the fret dressing process will sort that out. That's one of the benefits, or the side byproducts or fringe benefits of doing it. Refinish the surface. I've mentioned this quite a few times, but this process here really, all it does is it checks for relative levelness. So when we hear a rocking noise, we don't know whether the fret itself is high or whether the let's put it in the way. When we hear a rocking noise like this, we don't know whether the fret in the centre of the three is high and therefore causing the rocking, clacking noise, or whether one or both of the frets either side of that central one are low, which could also produce the clicking sound, because a low fret effectively will make the one in the middle high, relatively speaking. So we just know that we're picking up a clicking noise or rocking, and we know that either the central fret is high or the ones on either side are low. And the nice thing about using a fret or a leveling beam, which we're going to use, is that it will take care of whatever that is. It doesn't really care whether it's a high one or a low one. Its job is to bring them all down to the same level. So the sort of distinction about whether this fret is really high or is it the ones either side low is kind of academic to the leveling beam. It'll just do its wicked work. Some of these are very, very lightly uneven, hardly anything to worry about, but when we're doing this, we usually will, there's kind of two things really. It's how many frets are uneven relative to the ones around them, and then where they are uneven, the degree to which they're uneven. So this one, for example, is significantly higher than the ones around it, so that will be having an effect on the way the guitar plays. Okay, so here we go then. We've got how many frets? 24, isn't it? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, sorry. 22, out of which 1, 2, 3, or out of 20, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 70% are mildly uneven. I'm writing lightly on here because I don't want to dent the wood stuff underneath. Okay, so to do the leveling now, the first stage is going to mark up all the tops of the frets with marker pen, and that's going to serve as a guide to where the sandpaper on the leveling beam has taken away any metal and it will tell us. It should tell us that we've successfully taken off the high bits, and it should also tell us where we've got any low spots, because they will show up as still retaining the black pen when you've got a leveling beam going across a whole set of supposedly flat frets, and one or two of them don't get touched by the sandpaper, then you know you've got a flat spot. Okay, so I will need, in fact, let me just check something here. Okay, this is almost a fraction too long for this job. Let's just check. No, I can do it. I'll go over the top, but I'll put a masking tape on it just to be safe. Just got enough clearance. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is using the this is going to make it, it's probably better. Put it somewhere in the middle there. Okay, so using this beam, which is basically flat and quite narrow, I'm going to use this now to gently work away and level the frets. It's going to be a bit noisy, and because I'm following the natural radius of it in strips, it's going to preserve the 15-inch radius. I don't have a block that would do it. I've got a 16-inch radius block, but I don't want to reshape these frets to my radius as opposed to what the guitar already has. So I'm just going to start by kind of wandering across the fretboard and gently avoiding crashing into the nut at one end and pick up at the other end. See what I've got, and the first thing I can tell is this really high fret here is getting ground down straight away, which was exactly what we'd expect, as with that one as well. That's another significant one. And then these two here aren't showing up as being ground down, and yet they're uneven, so which suggests to me, in fact, we've got some low spots there. That one's been taken down as well because it's high. So it's doing what it should to begin with, and I'm just going to use my finger as a sort of stopper at this end. So I'm just kind of rocking away. Even sort of pressure, hopefully across the whole length of it. And I am seeing some sunken bits showing up. Great, thank you. Okay, so just stopping to have a look. It's going very slowly, which is great. You can't really go too far wrong if you take it slowly. So what have we got? I'm going to mark up things that strike me as interesting. So in terms of flat spots, I'm thinking that this here and this here are flat ones, low ones, in fact. Possibly even that one, but we've got a group of low ones and a group of high ones. Those are okay, and this could be low down here. Actually, it's just been clipped, that one. It could be these here being low as well. In fact, all those four, and then we've got high ones which are being taken off. So we've got some interesting little patches here. Now the thing about having a set of low frets is that we're going to have to keep going until we go until we reach the low ones, and in so doing we take off the high ones first of all in this process, and we also then take off some of the not high but just average ones in order to get down to the low ones, which are effectively still causing, will still cause a problem. Okay, it's good, we're getting to there, and as I suspected, these two are probably the lowest ones in the whole fretboard. And in fact, that one's starting to connect on that edge, which is good. So it's somewhere around here that's the problem. These are starting to just get touched now, but this has gone down a fair bit because these were significantly higher. So that's the kind of beauty of the simplicity of the process, really. And you just got to be patient. And just let the beam follow the radius. In this case, it's quite a flat radius. 15 is quite flat. But we're just following it. So we can do at this point is just stop and reevaluate how am I doing for fret material. You know, am I close to the bottom on any of these frets? If you are, you've got an issue where you have to consider whether it needs refretting. Ooh, I better plug this in before I run out of batteries. Yeah, it may be. You may come across some situations where the frets are marginal to begin with, and then you've got, on top of that, you've got some low frets which you'll never level out unless you take more off everything else, and of course that could leave you with not enough metal really to play well. So there we go, we've got a low spot here creating that clicking still. If you were in that situation, then you literally have to make a choice about do you need to refret the whole guitar, or do you need to just live with some of the low pits. These frets on here are good enough, very good condition, hardly used, so there's loads of metal in them. That means we can take relatively quite a bit off without getting into marginal territory. But in a way, that what you're seeing is the cost of a low fret, and these might be frets that have been sort of bashed in a bit more heavily than anything else. For whatever reason, they are sitting lower than everything else. And while they remain lower, they create a high spot on the adjacent frets, and that high spot, as far as choking and buzzing and so on is concerned, that high spot behaves, the low spot creates a high spot, and that gives you buzzing and choking. Obviously we've done quite a bit of levelling already, so that if we were to stop here, even if we don't get out the low or get right down to the lowest of the low spots, we're still going to have improved it somewhat. The question is, when are we going to give up and call it quits? I say that's a call you have to make as you're doing this, depending on the severity of the sunken fret and the overall condition of your frets. Okay, so I'm left with three low spots here, just to sort of highlight them one more time. It's kind of there, there, tiny bit there. That's mainly it. So it's this area right around here that's still going to be slightly problematic. Again, looking at the materials, the amount of metal and everything, it's looking good, so I'm going to keep going. We're not in any danger. Get the right edge of the thing. We're not in any danger of running out of metal. These amounts that are coming off here are quite minuscule, really. I'd like this to be perfect. That's how I am. Almost there, just starting to touch the top of this fret. And if we were to check the fret rocker, we would still get a slight bit of rocking here. Expect it, yep, there we go. And it's that ditch there that's causing it. But we're almost there, so I'm going to give it a little bit more go and then stop for some supper. And know that we're right on the ball with this. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. That's good enough for me. Let's take a quick picture, send it to our Malcolm, and then go in and get some grub. Good-o. Okay, let's put all this on hold for a minute and see you after some food. Okay, back full. Right, time to carry on. So we've got our frets leveled, so the next thing is to draw marker pen back on top, and we're going to use the fret crowning file, a Stumac Classic, diamond coated, expensive piece of kit. There are cheaper alternatives out there on the market, but I figured since I'd be doing a lot of this, and I'd get a good quality one, and it was money well spent, as are most of the good quality tools you can buy. Right, so I'm going to basically take the medium edge of this, and I'm just going to basically work down the edges of the flat spot until it rounds it over. And it's letting the diamond coating take the strain, so this is just need to go back and forth a few times, and takes away the edges, but it leaves us with a very, very thin line of marker pen down the centre of the fret, which is what we want, because if we can get all of these frets reprofiled but with the marker pen, a thin line of marker pen on the top, it means we know that the level is retained throughout, so that the fret levelling work that we've done is preserved, and then when we polish it off we'll end up with a set of level frets, which was the objective of doing all of this in the first place. So this gets a bit boring to watch, as some of the other things we've seen already, so I'll save you and me the horror of having to watch it all, and I'll put a pause on, and I'll come back to you when it's done. Well, I think I will anyway. I always do that, press the button. Right, so having done that, reprofiled all these frets, now that it's time to get the sandpaper on them. I'm going to use 600 grit first of all, and then after that I'm going to go on to the micro mesh set to get it to a shine or a really nice polish. I'm going to use a combination of starting with using my fingers to begin with, just to really retain sort of the curve or the humped shape of the fret. I don't want to flatten it anymore, and I want to make sure that overall I give all the frets the same sort of coverage with the sandpaper, because 600 grit is still capable of taking the level of the fret down, so we want to make sure that we take it down evenly all the way around. We don't want any particular areas to get more than others. It's not an exact science, this part of it. Obviously you can't be absolutely certain that you've done everything exactly equally, but you can have a good go. You can see why the masking tape at this point is really good for protecting the fingerboard, especially as we run off onto here. So it's always better to have more than you think you need rather than less. That's my experience, and especially when you consider how cheap masking tape is compared to the cost of a new neck or something if you ruin it. So the aim of this process really is to get rid of any of the scratching from the 220 sanding beam, and also any scratching from the fret crowning tool. Once we've convinced we've done that, then we can move on to the micro mesh paper, which will take us through progressively smoother and smoother, or finer and finer grades of sandpaper as we head towards getting a nice shine out of it. You can switch. I tend to switch at some point towards using a block rather than my fingers, because I end up in danger of getting blisters. Again, we're still just aiming to get rid of all those other scratches and replace it all with 600 grit. And then I can roll the paper around, get some fresh sandpaper on there. Okay, I'm going to do one more with using my fingers, and then should be ready to move on. confident that's got all the 220 scratches gone, and now we can start with the micro mesh set, and that runs from 1500 to 12,000. I'm going to spend a little bit longer on the first one, as always, because can I do it this way? I'm just trying to get an unused patch. Yeah, because this is quite a big step from 600 to 1500, so it might be worth spending a couple of minutes on this stage. Again, the purpose of it is to replace the 600 scratches now with 1500 grade. So far, all going well. Now we move on to the 18 and onwards down the series till we get to the 12, by which time we're polishing, getting a shine on all of this. We sort of speed up a little bit at this point. The next one I think I'm going to add an extra stage of sandpaper. I'm going to go from 600 to 1000 grit. I've got some, I think, 1000 grit sandpaper, and see what difference that makes, if any. Standing outside with Claire watching bats in the a pair of bats flying very, very close to us, so they come up the whole length of the field and then just up to our brick wall and sort of flit about chasing insects, and then head off back down the field silhouetted against the blue sky. It's absolutely beautiful to watch them. I'm just standing there quietly in our garden, enjoying that. So very, very lucky. So this video and quite a few others, it's going to be a little while going up onto YouTube, because I've taken this week off work, so my ability to upload has been decimated. In other words, it's impossible when I'm at home, so I always have to wait till I get back to London to do the uploads. And I was absolutely amazed and pleased to find that our new office, much smaller than our swanky big office previously, but a film 4-hour setup video last week that I uploaded that would have taken me all day in the previous office and would have been utterly impossible from home, took 20 minutes, which was just amazing. So that was a really nice surprise. Okay, so a bit mucky, but we're done. I'm going to pull off all this. This is low tack masking tape, by the way, designed to to have as little sticky glue residue as possible, and it's worth doing. I think it's about the same price, believe it or not, as the other stuff, but it's just, it helps to ensure that we don't pull off any finish that we don't want to pull off, and it still does its job really well, and it also doesn't leave any sticky residue on the guitar as well, which I've noticed some of the other form of masking tape had started to do that. I don't know if they changed the supplier or something down in Tavistock Market, but it was beginning to be a problem, so switching to the low tack was a good move at the time. Right, so now's the unveiling time. I'm just going to peel back all these tabs. It's a bit fiddly, and you've got to be patient. The guitar is currently... I'll wreck my fingernails doing this. The guitar is currently... It's got quite a bit of dust on it. Not what I want to have happen right now. Ow, ow, ow. Damn it. Yeah, picked up quite a bit of dust from that process just there, so we'll give it a clean off with naphtha. So once we've done this and given it a quick wipe down, then we're pretty much onto restringing it. I think I'm going to go straight to the new strings on this. And the reason I know that is that I know that the nut slots are almost, if not perfect, almost perfect, so there's going to be very little toing and froing, cutting the slots. I mean, there'll be a little bit, but not much, and it's usually that which the spare strings is good for avoiding. If you've got lots of cutting where you're going to have to take the strings off and on several times, dozens of times, to get the slots the right height, then the spare set of strings is a good idea. Sorry, the old strings, using old strings. But in this case, it shouldn't take long at all. So I'll go straight on with the new 10s. Right. All good. Fine, everything done. So a quick go over, get the dust off. Lovely beastie, beautiful condition. Malcolm got himself a true bargain there. You can see the tape marks here on the sanded out section, so I'll just give that a quick wipe over. And a quick going over here, but watching out because there's a couple of QC stickers that I guess Malcolm wants to keep on there, so I don't want to get them falling off courtesy of the solvent, which is good for removing stickers. So, right, that's good. Actually, I might keep this bit. So, here we are, ready to put it back together again. These bits here are in good, clean condition. Actually, spotless, really. So somebody's given this a clean as well. Also, I suspect it's just very, very new. Lovely, got nice old-fashioned tone volume knobs as well. Okay, I didn't check, but I've got a photograph. Did I have a photograph? I'm not sure if I took a photograph. Oh, I've got this in my pocket and it's making a noise, sorry. Right, I didn't take a photograph of the Deuce's bridge, but I'm going to assume it's in forward-facing position. In fact, I'm sure it is because I saw the sharp edge screws facing me. A quick clean down off the truss rod cover. Just having a look at this. It's a bit of a gluey mess down here. I just wonder if there's any way of removing any of this. Could do, but it's going to probably end up scratching the underlying. Oh no, it's not too bad, it's just a lot of excess glue. It's not easy to get it all off, but get some of it out. God, somebody made a right old mess there. It's a real gummy mess, I have to say. It's not easy to get it cleaned up without leaving some scratching, but I'm hoping it'll end up being a bit less than the big chunks of it that was there before. Doesn't look that much better, unfortunately. Oh well. It's better than having loads of glue piled up anyway. Yeah, little bit tidier. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, restringing. 46s. Oh, honestly. How did I manage that? Okay, Malcolm strings, got his name on them. There they are. Good old tins. Right. Okay, let's fire away. These have got nice gearing, these Hagstrom tuners. I think they're 18 to 1s, but it's a very nice rate. Nice and direct and slow. So I'm doing a 1 over and 2 under stringing method. It gives a bit of locking, but doesn't end up with too much string on the peg, so it doesn't create that sort of spool of wire. Don't know if you can, how well you can see. Dazzle. So come over, line up the hole, pull it taut, make sure it's all in the right train of, or the right path, and then I grab hold of the string, pull it back about nearly a fret length and start winding it, and I hold it up so the first one, this bit here, goes over the top of the loose string, and as it comes round I bend that string up and under tension press the taut string down so it goes underneath, and then it locks in position nicely. Cut off the excess straight away. It's a wonderful guitar. I'll be looking out for one of these for myself, I'm sure of it, because I've not come across a guitar as good to play without any adjustments for a while, so it's a very strong recommendation as far as I'm concerned, or a good sign I should say. So bend it up, keeping it under tension, sending the taut string underneath the loose string until it locks in the slot. Make sure it's on the bridge at the other end. Chop it off. And then we do the next three. Slightly less easy to do because we have to turn the tuners from the other side, but not impossible. I do like the little Hagstrom bridge protector thing. I think it's quite stylish. It sort of reminds me of those old Fenders and so on that had the kind of ashtray covers, whatever they used to call them. Now with this one, what I tend to do is I tend to switch hands, hold it down there, start the winding process, keep my thumb really tightly on this, so hopefully it comes, if I'm lucky, it comes over the top, but if it doesn't, I can switch, and with between thumb and finger I can make sure it goes over the top. Slightly difficult with these shaped tuners, I have to say. Right, as it comes round now, I'm going to yank that up, and again, keeping it under tension, just going to press down close to the peg to make sure it wraps underneath from that point, and then let it drop into the slot. Again, keeping it under tension so it stays below until it picks up. Now this one's, the action's so low at the moment that it's clanking off the frets, but that's fine because I've wound the action posts down to nothing, so we'd expect that to happen. I always remember doing this by hand all the way, how much it used to hurt. We used to have to wind by hand in the old days, before someone even thought of a string winder, far less all the electronic tuning systems they have now. The string winder was a stroke of genius once upon a time. Although you can see from this it's still a bit of a sort of ham-fisted affair. One more. It looks mean, this guitar. I really like it. It really is all black. And it's got the cream binding all the way around, which is a classy touch. But it really is. I don't know why the word Tony Iommi springs to mind, but it's that sort of colour, Iommi black. Yeah, over you go. Bend it up, put it under tension, press it down. Ow. Okay. Chuck away the offcuts. In a rubbish bag perfectly hidden behind two acoustic guitars. Sorry, classical guitars. Now, let's take a little note off here. Oh, well, that won't help. Let's wind this up so we've got a bit of action to begin with. I'm going to go for the lowest ever guitar action on this one, since it began that way. Let's see if we can't keep it that way. See what ridiculous action it will go to. Blimey. Right, I'm going to use this string stretcher thing now, which I bought a little while back. Hopefully this will do the whole trick of taking out all of the stretch needed. I'm not sure if I'm using it right. I still haven't quite got round to looking at the YouTube video or whatever I'm supposed to, instruction manual, typical me. But I think this will probably stretch it nicely. Whoops, gone off the... Don't want to do that. Come on, get back on your peg. And yeah, this should get all the stretch out of it with a bit of a tilt back on it. We'll see how much it's gone out of tune on this first pass. I'm excited about this action on this guitar. I think it's going to be just spectacular in a way that will almost defy belief. Do it one more time with the string stretcher. Careful not to pull the whole guitar off the bench. So what do you reckon we're going to get away with in terms of playing action? And remember, there's no relief in the neck yet. Well, there might be now we've put the strings on, but probably going to be quite straight, given it's a very stiff truss rod apparently. So this is pre-dialing in some relief. Okay, quite like that. If that's how you're supposed to use it, it's quite good. So hardly any stretch. So this plays all the way up, but that is I can't almost dare not look at what this is. Oh man. That is 0.75 on both sides. That is an absolutely astonishing action. That's enough. There's enough, just about enough relief in there too. Actually, it's not bad. Yeah, it's a little bit, as it was before, it was really a little bit lower than you'd really want it. So, you know, it's playable, but the notes aren't as good as they could be. I'd be tempted to go upwards from that action that we had before, because despite wanting to sort of send it out in the world like this, to say, look at this, this is the world's most low action. You don't want that really. So I'm going to forego that award of the world's most lowestest action ever, and I'm going to go for something a little bit more. Still pretty astonishing there, 1mm there and 0.75 the other side. Well, I'm going to give it back to Malcolm pretty much at the action it was at. I have to say that that so far is one of the most confidence-inspiring necks I've ever come across in the workshop. So just straight off, that is a beautiful. I mean, the way it's holding its tuning, the sustain. It's lovely. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm really impressed with that, and I want one for myself. I'm just going to crank up these pickups a little bit. Absolutely beautiful. I would like this guitar, Malcolm. Damn your eyes, man. Okay, so having done the action setup. Oh, by the way, yeah, there is one thing I want to check. Do we need to do any adjustment to the end here? Let's get the light on it. Whether you'll be able to see this or not is another matter. Just bringing you down here for a closer look, and then I can turn the light, throw some light on the neck down here. I'm just looking across at the gap, And do you know what? I don't want to mess with that. No, I don't want to mess with it, Mark. It's pretty much right there. What I will now do is sorry about this, moving things around. Again, the last major bit to do on this is the intonation. Again, I would suspect this thing is pretty much all there. Just a guess though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten up my long screwdriver. It's a bit extreme, but I want it to what am I doing? I'm trying to tighten this up, aren't I, here? Because I want to use this to get in there and adjust the intonation